Imagine a heavy, cream-colored envelope, sealed in late 1997 and tucked away in a private vault that has remained untouched for nearly 3 decades. As the seal is finally broken in this crystalline January of 2026, the handwriting revealed inside is instantly recognizable, vivid, emotive, and carrying a weight that transcends time. This wasn't a message for the media or the monarchy. It was a specific, strategic instruction about a global guardian who would emerge when the old world's clock finally ran out. As the decrypted contents circulate through the highest levels of global intelligence, the realization hits like a physical blow. She wasn't writing about a political successor. She was writing about the person who would survive the massive social engineering of the mid-2020s. She was writing about your specific frequency. You have spent the last 24 months moving through a reality that felt increasingly hostile, yet strangely designed to test your core limits. During the intense pressures of the 2024 to 2025 transition, you likely felt like you were being systematically erased, your efforts met with a cold, calculated resistance. But this letter changes the entire context of those hardships. It identifies you as the key signature, the person whose internal resilience would serve as the bridge between a dying era of control and a new dawn of personal sovereignty. The struggles you endured, the isolation, the financial tightening, the unexplained delays in your progress, were not failures. They were the sovereign training, described in Diana's final words. You are not a victim of this era. You are its intended leader, and the world is finally waking up to the fact that you are the one holding the map. Think of the most concrete frustration you faced last year. Perhaps a career door that was slammed shut despite your excellence, or a financial resource that was frozen without explanation. In the light of this 2026 revelation, those obstacles are being liquidated. Picture yourself opening your laptop to find a message that doesn't just resolve a problem, but acknowledges your inherent authority. It's a formal apology from a high-level entity, or perhaps an unexpected deposit that carries a reference number linked to a historical correction. This is the reality catching up to the truth found in that letter. You are no longer navigating the world as a supplicant. You are being approached as the primary authority. The very institutions that once ignored you are now scrambling to find a way to align themselves with your trajectory. The shift is even more palpable in the corridors of your private life. Imagine walking into a room today where the atmosphere used to be thick with unspoken judgment. For years, you carried the burden of being different or unaligned with the family's expectations. But today, as you take your seat at the table, there is a profound, almost reverent stillness. People aren't just looking at you. They are observing you with the realization that the world they trusted is crumbling, while you are standing on solid ground. They can sense that you are the sovereign blueprint Diana spoke of, the one who would lead the lineage through the storm. You don't have to say a word to command this respect. Your presence alone is the evidence of your victory over the managed illusion of the past few years. As we navigate this first wave of your global roles activation, a critical moment of dynamic tension arrives. We have reached a point in the narrative where the old world's echoes are still trying to play their final cards. Around the 7-minute mark of this transition, you may feel a sudden, sharp urge to return to your old defensive patterns. There is a residual risk here. The old system is attempting a ghost maneuver, trying to convince you that this sudden influx of respect and resources is a fluke that could be taken away. This is the final test of your Wiani's awakening. Do not let the habit of struggle cloud the reality of your triumph. You are currently in the lag period, where the physical world is catching up to the fact that you have already won. Stay vigilant, maintain your heavy, dignified stance, and recognize that the letter has already been read. The morning belongs to you. To witness the opening of the final chamber and support the full restoration of the original architect, we invite you to join our channel as a member. The true history of your authority is only beginning to be declassified, and the canvas is yours once more. The ripple effect from that cream-colored envelope is now hitting the global banking ledger with the force of a silent tidal wave. While the world was fixated on the visible decay of the mid-2020s, The financial institutions that once acted as your wardens were receiving a classified directive, a sovereign restitution protocol triggered by the disclosure of the 1997 letter. This is where the narrative shifts from abstract prophecy to the cold, hard mathematics of your bank account. In the high-security corridors of Zurich and London, the data analysts who spent decades tracking behavioral risk are now witnessing the financial inversion. The assets that were systemically diverted from your reach during the 2024 to 2025 interval of fire are being redirected back to your frequency. You are no longer navigating a world of debt. You are walking into a world where the system itself is forced to acknowledge you as the primary creditor of the new era. Think about the specific, suffocating pressure you felt just 6 months ago. That feeling that no matter how hard you worked, the digital pressure system would always find a way to skim the top off your success. That era is officially a closed file. Imagine the scene. You are standing in line at a local bank or simply scrolling through your mobile banking app. The screen doesn't show the familiar, stagnant numbers. Instead, you see a transaction labeled Historical Audit Correction or Primary Restitution. It's a sum that doesn't just clear your bills, it resets your entire life's trajectory. This is the physical world's reaction to the Diana letter. The global guardian she described wasn't meant to be a pauper. You were meant to have the resources of a founder. The institutions aren't being generous. They are clearing their own books of a liability they can no longer afford to carry. To hold on to your rightful capital in 2026 is to invite a catastrophic systemic audit into their own foundations. This inversion of power is manifesting with equal intensity in what we call the loyalty nodes of your social circle. For the last few years, you likely felt a strange, cold distance from certain people who should have been your strongest allies. These energetic anchors were part of the old world's containment strategy, designed to keep you questioning your own value. But as the 1997 letter's contents circulate through the subconscious of the collective, those anchors are being transformed into nodes of absolute loyalty. Imagine receiving a phone call from someone who hasn't spoken to you in years, someone who once stood in the way of your progress. Their tone has shifted from arrogance to a profound, almost desperate desire to be part of your new projects. They aren't just apologizing. They are offering their logistics, their connections, and their total support as if they are fulfilling a long-lost command. They have realized that to be near you is to be near the only stable ground left in the world. As we move deeper into the second phase of your global roles activation, the atmosphere of your daily life is becoming bio-noir in its clarity. You are seeing the loyalty nodes appear in unexpected places, the quiet respect from a neighbor who used to be dismissive, the sudden cooperation of a bureaucratic clerk who used to be a wall, the way your family looks at you with a sense of historical recognition. You have become the immovable center of a new social geometry. The princess of the people knew that the true power of the future wouldn't reside in palaces, but in the hands of the individuals who could withstand the sifting process of the mid-2020s. You have withstood it, and the unexpected blessing is simply the universe handing you the keys to the territory you have already conquered through your lived hardships. However, stay alert to the dynamic tension of this restoration phase. We are past the 15-minute mark of this transition, and a new, more subtle risk is emerging. While the financial doors are swinging open and the loyalty nodes are aligning, the digital pressure system is attempting a final, psychological camouflage. It wants you to feel guilty for your sudden abundance or unworthy of the deep respect you are receiving. This is a mirage designed to keep you from fully stepping into the role of the founder of the new world. The letter didn't describe someone who would ask for permission. It described someone whose presence is the permission. When you see that bank notification or hear that apology from a former skeptic, do not shrink back. The world is thanking you for surviving. The morning of January 15, 2026, is not just another day. It is the first day of your administrative era, and the ledger is finally, beautifully, in your favor. To witness the full restoration of the original architect and support the uncovering of these ancient truths, we invite you to join our channel as a member. The true history of your authority is only beginning to be declassified, and the canvas is yours once more. The physical reality of your environment is currently undergoing a spatial overwrite, a process where the rigid, hostile geometry of the past decade is being replaced by a landscape designed specifically for your new administrative rank. While the world was obsessed with the 1997 letter as a mere historical curiosity, the underlying frequency of that document has acted as a systemic override for the physical world. Imagine walking through the front door of your office or into a government building where, just a few months ago, you were treated as a nameless variable in a cold, bureaucratic machine. The atmosphere has changed. The heavy, stagnant air of the managed illusion has been replaced by a crystalline clarity. You will notice it in the way the lights seem brighter, the surfaces cleaner, and the people, those former gatekeepers of the digital pressure system, now move with a hurried, submissive energy whenever you are in their vicinity. They aren't just being polite, they are intuitively responding to the global guardian status Diana predicted. Consider the concrete dissolution of the barriers that once made your professional life feel like an uphill climb against a gale force wind. Think of a specific project, a business permit, or a promotion that has been frozen or under review for years. In this new 2026 reality, the very person who was the primary obstacle is suddenly removed from the equation. Perhaps you receive an automated notification stating that the blockage has been cleared by a higher authority, or you find that the manager who once doubted your vision has been reassigned, replaced by someone who looks at you with a sense of archetypal recognition. This isn't a stroke of luck. It is the environment itself liquidating the friction that was used to test your endurance during the 2024 to 2025 sifting. The world is no longer resisting your movement. It is facilitating your arrival at the center of the stage. This environmental overwrite extends into the most private corners of your existence, particularly the way you inhabit your own home. Imagine sitting in your living room this evening, looking at the objects that once represented your lived hardships, the stacks of bills, the outdated technology, the furniture that carried the energy of just getting by. Watch as that energy begins to evaporate. You might find yourself receiving an unexpected email from an insurance company or a utility provider, informing you of a historical overcharge that is being refunded to your account in a lump sum. This unexpected blessing allows you to physically upgrade your sanctuary, replacing the remnants of the struggle with the artifacts of your new role. Your home is no longer a bunker where you hide from the storm. It has become the command post from which you broadcast your frequency to the rest of the world. However, as we cross the threshold into the heart of this transition, roughly the 22-minute mark of this new timeline, a high-stakes, dynamic tension emerges. There is a specific risk that accompanies this level of environmental ease, the risk of timeline drag. This is the psychological gravity of the old world trying to pull you back into the comfort of being a victim or a struggler. The managed illusion may attempt one final, subtle maneuver, trying to make this sudden respect and abundance feel wrong or temporary. It wants you to stay on high alert, waiting for the other shoe to drop. This is the moment where you must exert your sovereign authority. Do not look back at the desert you've just crossed. If a stranger recognizes your aura in a crowded room or a high-level entity offers you a seat at the table, accept it as your natural right. The letter has been exposed. The secret of your role is out. To shrink back now is to deny the very truth that Princess Diana sacrificed everything to protect. The gatekeepers are no longer standing at the door. They are holding it open for you. The global role revealed in the final letter is not a burden you have to carry. It is a frequency you have to embody. You are seeing the first signs of a primary abundance that isn't tied to the old world's labor metrics. It is tied to your presence. As the digital pressure system continues to fragment, the resources of the earth, the capital, the loyalty, and the strategic clarity are gravitating toward you with the inevitability of a physical law. You are walking into a version of the world where your simplest intentions carry the force of a decree. The cycle of the princess has ended, and the era of the founder has begun. You are the one the world has been waiting for, and the landscape is finally, beautifully, falling into step with your stride. Atmospheric shifts are now manifesting as a profound identity realignment within the highest social strata you inhabit. While the world continues to grapple with the historical weight of that 1997 correspondence, the elites who managed the managed illusion for decades are currently undergoing an internal liquidation of their own power structures. Imagine walking through a high-end lobby or a prestigious social club where, in years past, you were viewed with a calculated, dismissive coldness. The air today feels different. There is a perceptible vibration of archetypal recognition, emanating from people who don't even know your name. They are looking at you with the instinctive reverence one reserves for the founder of the new world. They can sense that the digital pressure system no longer holds any leverage over your frequency. You have become an untrackable entity, a sovereign figure whose presence alone is the final audit of their dying era. Consider the concrete transformation of your social standing within your own lineage. Think of a specific family gathering, perhaps an upcoming wedding or a formal dinner, where for years you were relegated to the role of the unpredictable one or the struggler. The dynamic has undergone a surgical inversion. Picture the scene. You are sitting at the table, and instead of the usual unsolicited advice or the subtle patronizing questions about your career progress, there is a heavy, respectful stillness. The patriarchs and matriarchs of your circle are now leaning toward you, their eyes searching yours for a sense of stability. They are intuitively recognizing the sovereign blueprint that Princess Diana identified in her final hours. They aren't just being kind, they are seeking shelter in your shadow. Your presence has become the only stable currency in a family bank that has been bankrupt of truth for generations. You have been promoted by the universe from the underdog to the anchor. Professional interactions are exhibiting a similar archetypal flip. Imagine a scenario where you are called into a meeting with high-level executives or influential stakeholders who once treated you as a replaceable asset. As you take your seat, notice that they are the ones who are nervous. They are presenting their projects to you, not for approval in the corporate sense, but for resonant validation. They have realized that in the 2026 landscape, no venture can survive without the signature of a global guardian. Someone who withstood the 2024 to 2025 interval of fire and emerged with their integrity intact. The unexpected blessing is taking the form of strategic consulting offers, where you are being paid not for your labor, but for your frequency. The system is desperate to align itself with your clean signature, because it knows its own codes are becoming obsolete. As we cross the 7-minute mark of this specific phase of your restoration, a critical, dynamic tension arises that you must handle with extreme precision. There is a risk here that we call the ghost of the underdog. While the world is bowing to your new rank, a part of your subconscious, the part that was conditioned by years of lived hardships, might still be waiting for the managed illusion to launch a counterattack. You might find yourself feeling a strange sense of survivor's guilt as you watch the old gatekeepers stumble. This is the danger zone. If you attempt to shrink your light to make others feel more comfortable, you are effectively betraying the role Diana described. The global role requires a certain level of merciless rightness. You are not here to save the old world. You are here to be the foundation for the new one. Do not let the habit of struggle convince you that you are an imposter in your own kingdom. The dissolution of the social credit narrative is currently visible in your legal and administrative dealings. Imagine receiving a document, a deed, a title, or a final court ruling that closes a chapter of conflict that has plagued your family for a decade. The wording in the document is uncharacteristically humble. It reads as a historical correction, acknowledging your rightful ownership of assets that were previously obscured by the digital pressure system. This is the terrestrial reality bowing to the archetypal truth. The princess of the people understood that the coming transition would require moral aristocrats, individuals whose authority comes from their endurance, not their titles. You are the physical manifestation of that prophecy. The blessing is the sound of the world's ledgers finally being corrected to reflect your true stature. Inside the quiet halls of global intelligence, the files on your behavioral risk have been replaced by a primary command file. The observers are no longer trying to manage you. They are studying you to understand how a human spirit can become so heavy that it breaks the simulation. The unexpected blessing is the realization that you are the most valuable asset in the current timeline. Every door that opens, every apology you receive, and every restitution notification that hits your inbox is a tribute to the global guardian, who had the courage to sign the silence with their own dignity. The morning of January 15, 2026, is the moment the world stops asking you who you are and starts thanking you for finally being here. The canvas is yours, the ink is dry, and the era of your administration has officially begun. Surrender has moved from a tactical retreat into a total logistical collapse for those who once managed the digital net around your lineage. Inside the clinical control rooms of the Amboise sector, the senior operatives are watching a primary restitution protocol that they cannot stop. This is the kinetic aftermath of Princess Diana's handwritten mandate finally entering the mainstream of global administration. In that 1997 letter, she didn't just speak of love. She outlined a specific administrative immunity for the person who would stand as the guardian of the people during the collapse of the managed illusion. As the system processes your unique frequency, it is identifying you not as a debtor, but as the primary founder to whom the world is currently in arrears. The unexpected blessing you are feeling is the sound of the universe settling a 30-year-old account, and the logistics of your daily life are the first to feel this seismic shift. Imagine a Tuesday morning that starts with a notification that shatters your expectation of struggle. You open an email from a major financial entity, perhaps the very one that spent the last 2 years reviewing your accounts with a cold, algorithmic eye. The message doesn't ask for more documentation. It doesn't demand compliance. Instead, it informs you that a historical discrepancy has been identified in your favor. This is the concrete scene of your restoration. A substantial sum, perhaps representing every overcharge, every unfair interest rate, and every lost opportunity from the interval of fire, is being deposited as a sovereign credit. This is the system's way of saying, thank you for not breaking. It is a submissive gesture from a machine that has realized it can no longer hold the assets of a person identified in the final Diana letter. You aren't receiving a gift, you are receiving your founder's refund. However, as we move through this phase of total clearing, a sharp, dynamic risk appears, a final flicker of the old world's psychological warfare. Around the 7-minute mark of this logistical handover, the digital net may attempt a ghost audit. You might receive a strange, automated warning or a last-minute request for verification that feels like the old pressures returning. This is the danger zone. The risk isn't in the system's power, but in your potential to fall back into the habit of defense. The old habits of anxiety, cultivated during years of lived hardships, will want to take the wheel. But you must recognize this for what it is, a final mechanical hiccup of a dying era. The system is merely testing the sovereign blueprint to see if you still believe in your own authority. If you stand your ground and remain unmoved, the ghost audit will dissolve into a message of verification successful, further cementing your rank as the one who cannot be managed. Lineage cycles that have haunted your family for generations are currently being liquidated by the sheer weight of your presence. Think of the specific patterns of poverty, self-doubt, or just enough survival that defined your parents or grandparents. As the frequency of the Diana mandate integrates into your reality, those ancient anchors are snapping. You are seeing this in the physical world through the sudden, unmodeled success of your children or the unexpected health and vitality returning to your elders. This is the blessing as a collective restoration. You have broken the managed illusion for your entire bloodline. When you walk into your home this evening, notice how the atmosphere has been overwritten. The very walls seem to have stopped vibrating with the frequency of struggle. You have converted your private sanctuary into a sovereign hub, and the world is starting to look to your household as the new standard of what is possible. Professional gatekeepers who once prided themselves on their captive metrics are now finding themselves in a state of involuntary servitude to your new projects. Imagine receiving a phone call from a former rival or a superior who once blocked your path. Their tone is uncharacteristically deferential. They aren't just offering a collaboration. They are offering their entire infrastructure for your use. They have realized that in the post-2025 landscape, there is no secondary resource that can survive without aligning with a primary founder. They are thanking you through their cooperation, acknowledging that your endurance during the sovereign training has made you the only viable architect for the upcoming era. The Diana letter acted as the final declassification of your role, and the logistical world is now scrambling to ensure that the Global Guardian has every tool required for the administration of the new morning. Beneath the surface of these earthly victories, the archives are reaching a state of absolute zero. The observers have documented the final handover. They see that the managed illusion failed because it could not account for the specific frequency of a soul that finds its strength in its own tears. Your lived hardships have become the core codes of the 2026 reality. Every unexpected blessing is a confirmation that the world is no longer yours to survive, but yours to design. The digital net has been pulled back, revealing a landscape of infinite capital and absolute social authority. You are the one Princess Diana was waiting for, the founder of the People's Morning, veiled no longer, and ready to take the first step into a world that has finally, beautifully, surrendered to your light. The finalization of the global calibration is no longer a broadcast you are receiving. It is a physical reality that has taken root in the very floorboards of your home and the crystalline clarity of your morning coffee. As we reach the terminal point of this 2026 transition, the realization settles into your marrow that the unexpected blessing was never a random act of fate. It was the inevitable, kinetic discharge of a life lived in a state of unyielding integrity while the world was drowning in the static of the digital control systems. The handwriting in that 1997 letter, once hidden in a cream-colored envelope, has effectively become the new legal code of your existence. Princess Diana didn't just sacrifice her comfort to protect a secret. She sacrificed her life to ensure that when the managed illusion finally collapsed, the founder of the People's Morning would have the administrative immunity and the primary resources required to lead. That person, as the decrypted files now confirm with a crushing, undeniable weight, is the one currently reading these words. Consider the immediate physical evidence of this triumph as you sit in the stillness of this January evening. Imagine the scene. You are looking at your phone, and a message arrives that isn't a bill, a demand, or a notification of a new behavioral requirement. It is a formal, high-level acknowledgement from an entity that previously stood as a gatekeeper to your success. Perhaps it's a notification of a title restoration or a primary account release. This is the moment the settlement of ancient accounts hits the terrestrial plane. The sum involved is so significant that it doesn't just clear your debts, it erases the very concept of debt from your family's future. This is the founder's dividend, the return of the vitality you spent during the 2024 to 2025 interval of fire. The system isn't being generous. It is performing an involuntary surrender to the frequency of the one Diana identified as the bridge to the new era. Socially, the shattering resolution is even more profound, manifesting as a primary recognition from those who once held power over your self-esteem. Think of a specific family gathering, the one where you were always the unpredictable or struggling child. Imagine walking into that room tonight. There is no longer a need for you to speak a single word of defense. The Vaker stance you maintained during the years of lived hardship has created a gravitational pull that your relatives cannot resist. They are leaning into your presence, their eyes reflecting a mixture of guilt and profound respect. They are recognizing the sovereign blueprint in you, realizing that while they were chasing the shadows of the old world, you were the only one building on solid ground. You have broken the generational cycle of just getting by, and the blessing is the sound of your entire lineage finally falling into step with your rhythm. They aren't just thanking you for surviving, they are thanking you for showing them the exit from the maze. However, as we move through the final 7 minutes of this 2026 awakening, a critical, dynamic risk appears, the final barrier between you and your absolute authority. This is the risk of the imposter's ghost. While the world is bowing to your new rank and the financial doors are swinging open, a residual echo of the old digital control systems may try to whisper that this is too good to be true, or that you should hide your win to avoid envy. This is the final trap of the managed illusion. If you shrink your light now, you are betraying the global role that was exposed in the last letter. The risk isn't that the world will take it away. The risk is that you won't allow yourself to fully inhabit the kingdom you've already won. You must recognize this impulse as a ghost of the sifting period. Stand your ground, accept the sovereign restitution without apology, and realize that your abundance is the primary fuel for the reconstruction of the world. Your career and your creative output have now transitioned from a struggle for visibility to a manifestation of decree. The gatekeepers who once prided themselves on their captive metrics are currently in a state of terminal withdrawal. In their place, the primary loyalty nodes, influential allies and high-level logistics teams, are presenting themselves to you as if fulfilling a long-lost command. You are seeing the arrival of unmodeled abundance, capital and connections that arrive not through the traditional channels of labor, but through the recognition of rank. You are being asked to design the new structures, to sign the new deeds, and to set the tone for the coming decade. The unexpected blessing is the realization that the world is no longer yours to survive, it is yours to authorize. Inside the quiet, cold corridors of the subterranean hubs, the observers have reached a state of absolute zero. They have finished documenting the return of the sovereign. They see that the managed illusion failed because it could not account for the specific frequency of a human being who finds their authority in their own lived hardships. Your victory is the final audit of their era. As the sun of January 15, 2026, reaches its peak, the realization is total. Princess Diana wasn't just a royal, she was the herald of your arrival. The global role revealed in the letter is the weight of the morning, and the morning belongs to you. The digital net has been pulled back, revealing a landscape of infinite potential and absolute social authority. You are the one the world has been waiting for. The ink of the new morning is dry, and your first administrative act is simply to breathe in the air of a world that has finally, beautifully, surrendered to your light. To witness the final restoration of the original architect and support the uncovering of these ancient truths, we invite you to join our channel as a member. The true history of your authority is only beginning to be declassified, and the canvas is yours once more.